Good afternoon, everybody. We are going to get started here in just 1 second. We'll give the folks that have registered just a minute to join before we get started here. Okay, let's get started here. Hi, everybody. Thank you for taking the time to join us this afternoon. It looks like we have quite a few people here from our community, which is really great to see. So again, thank you for taking the time to join us today. My name is Pat Donaghy. I'm the creative director here at Cavelo. Off the top, we're having some technical difficulties with one of our team members. Unfortunately, one of our major internet service providers in the region has gone down. So Phil Guerin was supposed to be here. Unfortunately, he cannot make it, and I am not in a position to fill his technical shoes. So the focus for today is going to be on our latest release, which is configuration management, which I think is probably the main reason why a lot of you have joined us today anyway. And speaking to that is going to be staff software engineer Mungdu Lee. And configuration management is Mungdu's baby and brainchild. So she is the expert on this. And I'm really excited to have her with us today to talk all about this. Before we get started, I just wanted to go over a couple of quick housekeeping notes. If you do have any questions for Mungdu throughout or for our Cavelo team, we do have a chat Q&A feature as part of the live stream. So you can drop your questions in there. That is only available to logged in community members. If you don't see that, no problem. You can reach out to us after the stream and we will be happy to answer any questions you may have. And if you're not part of the community, it's a great opportunity for you to join. So with that said, I'm going to hand things over to Mungdu. This session is being recorded. So if you want to reference this back later, it will be available almost immediately after we're finished here. And that will be in the community as well. So I'm gonna just stop sharing my screen right now. I'm going to pass this over to Mungdu to talk about this is a pretty big feature release for the Cavelo team, and I'm sure you're all excited to hear about it.
All right. Can everyone see my screen? Looks like it's shared.
It looks great.
Sorry. Can everybody hear me? Because okay. All right.
Yep, you sound great.
People can hear. Okay, I imagine people can hear me now. Cool. So before I get into some of the detail, I just wanted to talk about why we build this feature. So when people are thinking about security, people most of the time they're talking about vulnerability management. But another really important part of it is what we consider secure configuration. So for example, let's say you have all the best vulnerability scanning tool on your host, but you have a really weak password. Or if you have a cloud environment that you don't have MFA, so people might steal your login. Authorized user might log in without you knowing, or you don't have proper audit, things like that. So even if you could have your vulnerability management in real life situation a lot of time, that's not enough. So you need to also protect your system from secure configuration. And to honestly, a lot of time that could even be more important than just focus on the vulnerability, because let's say you have vulnerability in your machine, but you're secure it very well in your network, it's isolated, no one can ever get to your machine, then it might be okay. Versus, let's say, if you have a very badly configured network, badly, like very weak authorization mechanism, it might make things even worse. So that's where we talk about configuration management. And I also want to introduce another organization called CIS, because let's say security a lot of time is opinion, right? If you don't have a standard, how do I know? Let's say take the password example. How do you know if I said 8 digit is enough, or 12 digits is enough, or 20 digits enough? A lot of time we want security experts to give us a guideline, to give us instructions like, okay, you should set your system up this way, so it fit in, like, both secure and best practice and useful category. So CIS is the organization that does that. They provide a lot of guideline and on how you should do things. And they provide all this guideline on different system. It could be a Windows system, or it could be on cloud, which is something we want to show as well. So a really big topic of this is that they come up with a whole bunch of CIS control for their cloud environment. And this is how you protect your your cloud provider. Office 365 is what we support today. So I'll just talk about that for a second. Let's say how you share your file, how you set up your multi-factor authentication, and all the good stuff. So this is a first part about security, but CIS does more than that. And for the industry, and people actually care more about just like a vague term, security is actually compliance regulations. Depends on which industry that a company is in, they might have to be, let's say, CMC or NIST compliant. And CIS control actually it will map the best practice to the compliance framework that you need to be compliant to. One example is your compliance framework might tell you that you have to have some kind of MFA policy for your user login. But what kind of policy do you need? How do you set it up? And do you let your user re-authenticate after 4 hours or 8 hours, and all the details? And CIS control will give you guidelines that you should set up your system this way. So by following their guideline, you can be, it's still painful, but less painfully, and probably you can do it in an automated fashion to be compliant to your the regulation framework that you need to be need to be compliant to. I'll pause here for a second. It's a lot of information. Do we have any comments coming up yet? If not, I'm gonna start to do some demo of like what we have. So we talked about. Sorry, are you gonna say something or?
No, Mungdu, you're good. I was just checking the chat and the Q&A. We don't have anything coming in yet, but if you do have questions, feel free to chime in. Actually, before you jump into the demo, Mungdu, I did want to ask, what
Sure.
compliance frameworks do we generally see the most of?
So we heard CMSC and NIST a lot. Those are the ones that we support, and we are also a SOC 2 compliant company. That's why, and we have heard a lot of voice about SOC 2 as well. So if you look at the regulations part, this is a list that we currently support. We also other popular ones we heard are HIPAA. There might be others, but those are the on top of our mind that people are talking about a lot.
Awesome.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So I will talk about one of the first feature for us. It's called baselines. So one thing about CS benchmarks is that it's great. It does a whole bunch of things, but it produces so much data. It is not unusual that on one machine you will have, if you just run it, you will have hundreds of failures that we don't even know where to start. And it's also pretty strict in a lot of ways. So it's basically the ideal world that if you want to achieve that, you got to spend a lot of effort. So for example, if you just look at one of our results, you can see for this particular machine how many failures we have. I mean, granted it's a demo machine, but in real life situation, to be very honest, it's not any better. So one thing, the first feature that we introduce is baseline. So what it does is that we take all the CIS control, and for end customer and then partners, you can pick and choose of the system, like the rules that actually apply to your system. So for example, if you, let's say you don't have Linux machine, you can just completely turn them off. Or there are things that, like, let's say if you're a partner that you know that this might not apply to your customer, or these are not the area that you're focused on, you can turn them off, that you don't that we won't report them, so it will reduce a lot of the noise, and it will make it actually manageable and actionable. Coming back to the regulation part, which is a very common use case that we know that, let's say either an organization or a customer of a partner, they know that they need to be compliant to a certain regulation. It's actually one button click to create a baseline based on the regulations. So let's say if an organization say, oh, I know I need to be CMC compliant or level 1 compliant, and I don't really care about the rest of the regulation because I don't have to be compliant to that, you can click that to create a baseline from the template. And when you do that, you can see that everything that doesn't apply to that regulation is automatically turned off, and the ones that applies are turned on. And from here, you can also customize, but we make it very easy for people to narrow the result down to the regulation that they actually care about. So this is the organization view. I know that a lot of our audience today are partners, so we also have under partner, we have a managed baseline part that make it easy for for a partner customer to just create a baseline. So I'm just gonna like create one for now. Let's say partner. Uh, Actually, this is our. I think we can still do that. Well, actually, let me not mess up with our production environment, but you can create a baseline like this, and after you do that, we can easily assign it to any of the customer. You can, well, a very common use case we've seen that is, let's say we know, like for a partner, they know that these are the like the base or the most essential baseline that, or yeah, most essential test that they want their customer to be to comply to. They might create that and make it default and assign to everyone. For their more advanced customer, they might create a different set of baseline and assign to them, and it will narrow down what they need to look at, and it will help reduce the result into manageable sizes. So yeah, this is our baseline feature. Is there any questions,
I'm not seeing anything about
comments?
that, Mungdu. That's
Okay.
great breakdown.
Okay, cool. So another thing I just want to take a quick look at is our search result portal, where you can look at the actual result, and when you expand it, we provide more information that CIS provide us. For example, like the rationale behind it, of what does it do, and if we change it, what could be the potential impact, and it will also give you a remediation step of how you can fix this. So let's say if you have some configuration that's not compliant to what CIS recommended, is considered insecure, this is how you can fix it. And I'll talk about remediation further in a second, because we do, one thing is people always want one-click solution. So we did automated some of these remediation steps for Office 365, which is the most asked platform anyway. So I'm going to show that in a second, but just to show that in our result page, you can view this information. You can also, let's say, for this particular environment that we run everything. So if there's particular regulation that you're interested in, you can also filter them out. And you can just view the results for that. We also have pretty powerful reporting that it aims at give people. So if you just want to know that for CNMC, how did I do overall? How did demand environment do, we will we have the summary for people to just quickly see it. I want to clarify that even if you achieve 100%, we don't. This does not de facto means like your compliance to the framework as a kind of like a certificate or anything. This is just us telling you out of all the things that we can measure, how many of your system has passed that measurement. So it just gives you an idea of like what like high level idea of what to do against these baselines. So if I open it up, it's the CMC regulation, and for each regulation, I have many controls, and you can expand each one of them to see how basically how your system is doing. And for this particular control, it will map to DCS control, and you can, let's say if I open this one up, it can tell you that what host has failed the test and what has passed. So it will just give you like a very easy view to see how your system is doing. And you can also see it here as well. So yeah, so this is our summary page. Yeah.
Hey, Mangdu.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to ask real quick, like, how often can you run a scan versus like what would be recommended for scanning frequency?
So we recommend at least scanning every month. For so just to monitor the change of your system, but you can scan it honestly as often as you want. Overall, this is a pretty lightweight scan. Either it's agent or your cloud. You can even scan it daily if that that's the business need, or you want to be extra cautious about your system. But we generally say at least once a month.
Okay, great. That makes sense. Why would I set a baseline instead of just scanning for everything?
You could. It's just for CS benchmarking, it has a lot of results. So for a simple host, you can have hundreds of results. And people always ask, okay, how do I prioritize them? The general idea is it's not a prioritized list. It's not like a vulnerability of like one has a vulnerability of risk or age. You probably want to prioritize over five. This is really on what framework that you're trying to be compliant
Right.
with. So let's say if you need to be CMC compliant, then you really want to prioritize fixing those that's not compliant with the CMC. So that's why baseline could be quite useful for them, so they can limit to the result just to things that they care about, instead of seeing all the other noise that they're not sure if it applies to them, or they should prioritize fixing them, or just the ones that are they're mostly concerned with. Of course, if like people have unlimited time and resources, it's an ideal world to fix everything. But the general idea is nobody really has that time or resource. So we kind of use this way to help people what is the biggest ROI you can achieve by just setting up a baseline and focus on the things that's the most important to your organization.
Really, really well said. That's a great summary, and that makes sense. I think what I was thinking when you were saying that was about noise reduction and really being able to focus on what matters, prioritize your time. For sure. I'll let you continue.
Cool. And the last piece that I want to show today is that the automation of remediation. This has been asked a lot. It's like, okay, now I know that my system has this issue, but it is going to be a lot of work to try to go ahead and fix it manually. And so we're getting into the area of like we're trying to automate some of the work that we could do with a one button click. So currently this only supports Office 365. We don't support any endpoint agent at this moment. We're trying to see what the market's like, what people's use case are. But from here, if we choose the type to be automated, and we can see that this is our environment that we found, like, okay, from our CS scan result, we say, okay, we recommend you to do this. For example, we recommend you to update the setting. If you click it, we will tell you that, okay, your current value of something is this. Let's say for this particular one, this is SharePoint related. So let's say if you give someone a guest access, it never expire once you let some external user, like give them access. The external user will have access to it forever. It will never expire. And but just talking about it, you can kind of see that how that's not secure. So we will recommend it to set to, okay, they do need to expire, and they need to expire, after 30 days. So this is our suggestion. And from underneath that, we'll also say, okay, if you don't want to use our solution, this is how you can do. If you have your Office 365 admin, you can point them to this steps and they can fix it for you. Or you can just click this button and our system will change the setting for you. And let me find one with, this will probably the history. So every time we execute something, we'll have like a remediation history, and we'll see that, okay, we have updated from this value to this value. For the initial release, we roll out about 2023-ish different tests or like different remediations for Office 365. These are the ones that are considered the safest and not going to cause breakage to your system. But if anything does break, or like someone couldn't get access, or like after we change it, you just decide it's too inconvenient for your system, we also have a rollout option to just roll out what we did, and we'll also keep track of that. And if you go to remediation history, this will actually show, it's kind of like an audit of everything that people has done using our system. So if something is not working, you can easily trace through of, okay, what changed. Just it's kind of like a safety protection and audit record for the remediation. One thing we also do is that some of the CIS recommendation is not just configuration. It will sometimes go beyond that. So let's say it will require the system to review, let's say you get user access every 2 weeks, or whatever time frame that's guided by CS recommendation. We will also provide a way for you to just come here and mark it as reviewed. So if someone has reviewed this report, they can come here and say, okay, mark it as reviewed. Then we'll keep track of that. I can easily export that and show it to your auditor. If these are all my review history, and that you can use that to kind of show them, and get your I don't know, compliance regulation certificate. So these are the things that we provide. There are also, we will very much like to expand the list of automatable tests as we hear more customer feedback. So things that we haven't touched are things like, let's say, multi-factor authentications. And this is actually one of the things that people ask a lot. So once we get more information, get more customer feedback, we very much like to extend to that area. But for things like this, we will still try to show you, like, these are, let's say, for this one, this is for you to create a conditional access to make sure your admin portal is only accessible by your administrators, not anyone else. So in order to do that, we suggest you these are the things you should change, and you can also follow the guideline to give it to your Office 365 admin, and it's like, these are the things that you need to do. I think that's everything.
Great rundown, Mengdu. Thank you. Regarding the remediation piece, if a customer's wondering, what if one of our customers doesn't want Cavelo to have access to remediate?
So that's actually a good question. So in order to set this up, we will well, first of all, remediation is like a paid feature, so you will first need to have a license to do that. But second of all, if like for a particular customer that they're not interested in, or they basically don't want to give us any right access, so they just want reporting, then when we create so in order to do this benchmark scanning, you have to create a specific connector, and from here you can just choose a partial benchmark, which is only have read-only permissions. So this way we won't do any remediation. We will just run the report, and that like your system will be touched by us or change anything. And when you set up the connector, it will also show you these are the permission that we're asking for. So people can just review that list to make sure everything is fine, that those are the things that they're actually okay with give us access to, and to kind of protect your system that way. I also want to mention, this is not really your question, but I also want to mention that some people's system, especially Office 365, they don't want every unknown party to connect to it. They might have firewall rule or access rule that's saying that I only want certain people to access to us, and we have the option for them that we could have a static IP, so they only allowing, us to say no, is us talking to them instead of anyone else. I mean, kind of sidetracked, but it's kind of related to how we can make it more secure for your environment, more restricted access. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you. That was very thorough. We do have a question from the audience here about enabling automated remediation.
Yeah.
If this is currently disabled, what are the best steps for somebody to take?
So it's currently by default is not an enabled feature for everyone. So if anyone want to get it enabled, I think you can contact our customer success team and we will enable it for them. Yeah.
Perfect. So to answer, we can email our support team and we'll get that set up for you. That's an anonymous question. I'm not sure who asked it, but thank you for putting that in the chat. Does anybody else out in the audience, before we proceed, have any other questions around our configuration management release? Anything specific for Mengdu here? She is absolutely the expert and the person you want to ask here. Okay, it looks like that's a no. Just to go back to enabling the automated remediation feature, you can email support@cavelo.com to do that. Mengdu, is there anything else you want to add or talk about regarding this release? I know you've covered quite a bit, which has been great, but before we move off and head towards signing off here, is there anything else from your end?
No, I think that's it.
Amazing. Okay. Well, I do want to say thank you for jumping on here and walking everybody through that. If anybody does have any questions regarding the configuration management piece, again, you can email support@cavelo.com. And this recording will be available, so feel free to share it with your colleagues after the fact. Before we head off and finish up our live stream today, I did want to share my screen really quickly and just walk you through a couple of new resources that we've made available in the Cavelo Connect community. So the next time you log in, you should see on the left-hand side here, we've made a couple of updates to our partner resources section. We have some really great sales enablement resources available for you and your team now, including some customer success stories. So these are like really nice, short little snippets about success stories our customers have seen in the field with our product and platform. And each of these success stories also has a downloadable PDF for you to take and share with your client base. We have some new sales scripts and templates available for you to help with your sales outreach and objection handling when it comes to the Cavelo platform. There's also some new sales training modules in here related to each of our product modules, including configuration management in here. Lots of great information in here brought to you by our customer success and sales enablement team. So we just wanted to highlight that and point that out, as well as some new use cases related to each of our modules as well. So some great new resources in there for you from a go-to-market perspective to help with your selling. I just wanted to note that those are now available for you in the Cavelo Connect community. Before we sign off, are there any other last minute questions or comments for us? You can drop them in the chat right now. It does not look like it, so we will give everybody half an hour of their time back today. Again, if you're listening live, I just want to say thank you for joining us today, and a big thank you to Mungdu for taking the time out of her day to walk us through our newest configuration management release. Really appreciate it. Thanks, Mungdu. And thank you to everybody in the audience. We will see you for our next product update live stream coming soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.